beginning to see a replica or a replication of the late Thomas Sankara in him. Because at that age, Sankara was just within that age bracket, even while he was president in Burkina Faso, that same country.
Obviously, he has something within him that has propelled him at such a young age to the pinnacle of political power in Burkina Faso. And that would mean that he has a drive. Obviously, he has an ambition.
Ibrahim Traore. He is Africa's youngest head of state at 35 years of age. Ibrahim Traore became the transitional president of Burkina Faso following a military coup in 2022.
Of course, Ibrahim Traore had to step in, and he was very decisive in taking over power. In September, he's going to be 1 year in office, and he has promised that in June 2024, he's going to relinquish power to a democratically elected government.
That gives you an idea, first of all, yes, that there's some bit of maybe ambition there. But are these personal ambitions, or are they ambitions on behalf of Burkina Faso? We can only know with time.
Traore and a group of other soldiers ousted his ex-comrade and interim president, Paul-Henri Damiba, who had appointed him the head of an artillery regiment in the city of Kaya. Damiba himself led a coup against a civilian government of Rochma Christian Gabore 8 months earlier. Both coups were hinged on government failure to tackle armed insurgencies in the country.
The issue of coups can be very, very delicate, and people don't understand how dangerous coups can be, especially when you are trying to oust a military government and you are part of that military establishment. The death penalty in most cases is death by firing squad. People say he worked closely with Damiba, his former head of state, and so people could look at it and say, well, that's an act of betrayal.
Traore was born in the town of Bunduku in western Burkina Faso. He studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou before joining the army in 2010. He graduated as an officer from the Georges Namonau Military School. In 2020, he was elevated to the rank of a captain in the army. This was after he took part in the 2018 UN peacekeeping mission in neighboring Mali. He also fought on the front lines against militants in the northern part of the country he now leads.
I think he has an interesting personality for anybody that would hit the limelight. The way he has, he's not just any ordinary person.
Burkina Faso has witnessed political instability and armed insurgencies for years, contributing to the insecurity across the Sahel since 2015. The French army operated in the country since 2018 in attempts to tackle armed groups behind the violence. But in February 2023, the French troops were forced to end operations in Burkina Faso on claims that their military presence had not improved the security situation in the country. Traore's takeover in 2022 came during a time when Russia's influence in French-speaking African countries seemed to be growing. He is among junta leaders in West Africa with strong anti-French sentiments.
Le Burkina Faso est fatigué avec le cas de la France. Alors le Burkina Faso veut rompre toute relation qui existe entre ce pays et la France.
Traore has made it clear that Russia would become Burkina Faso's choice as a new partner in the fight against militant groups.
They've accused France many times. This is the general belief that the French, needed to have some crisis in those areas so that they can deploy their troops. And this was what gave rise to the G5 Sahel, and they were all, French countries. You had Chad, you had Niger, you had Burkina Faso, you had Mali, making up the G5.
Just like President Traore, leaders of Mali, Guinea, and most recently Niger have all come to power through military coups.
Some of these countries, these military, juntas will remain in power. But will they be able to do those things that they complained about that led to their taking over, political power in their countries? I don't know, but they have to try to learn to walk the talk so that they can put certain structures on ground that even eventually by the time they leave, the people of those countries can say, well, the military was here, but it was not so bad, even though they eventually left.
And now the military rulers in the Sahel are teaming up. Mali and Burkina Faso are strongly supporting the new junta leadership in Niger with their solidarity delegation visiting the country.
And you could call them military adventurers because we now have we have no definite knowledge, about what exactly is motivating them. They could be motivated by selfish interests. They could be motivated by genuine patriotic national interest to protect their patrimony, their common patrimony. They could be motivated by the fact that the political class have failed their people over time, consistently, time and time again. So it is a matter of survival. And that's why they have come together really, to have an alliance that an attack on one is an attack, on the other.
President Traore says his goal going forward is to bring about change in his country. He recently asked Russia for more support to address security and economic issues in Burkina Faso.
I think that if they are to abide by, their promises, yes, there is hope that these guys are able to change the situations in their country.
With a wave of military takeovers sweeping through former French colonies in West Africa, the new young leaders like Traore believe they have what it takes to move their countries forward, even though they were not democratically elected. But with a fluid economic and security situation, the future remains uncertain.